SK, the term for a silent key, an amateur radio operator that's no longer with us. I'm still here, I'm still alive, but when I do die, what happens to all this stuff that I've collected? How to manage that? That's what we're going to talk here a little bit about. So before I get into the details of what I'm going to do here to help organize my equipment, is that you should probably review your own trusts, your wills, your power of attorney, medical directives to make sure they're up to date. So researching what to do, I found 2 articles in QST. The first one I'm looking at is 2018 by Noel Beardsley, K8NB, and the second one came out in September of 2019 from Dino Pappas, KL0S. So that's what I'm going to kind of base my talk here on today, about getting organized for when you're not around. So it's best now to decide while you're still here what you want to have happen to your equipment. Do you want to donate it? Do you want to donate it to a club, to a charity? Maybe you have other family members that are hams. Fred's going to get the K3 and Tommy's going to get the amplifier or something. Decide that now and take and document it. If you're going to sell it, kind of some pointers of how to. Of course, somebody who has no idea what this equipment is, selling it is going to be very difficult for them. But we're going to try and help that along a little bit here. Some clubs have a good program to help dispose of all the equipment after the ham dies away. Does your club have that? Don't know. Check out. But one of the things you should be aware of, that we probably all have seen this, is that as soon as the amateur passes away, it doesn't take long for the vultures to come out. And the surviving members will hear things like, well, Randy promised me that piece of equipment when he passed. Or Randy promised me that piece of equipment for $200 when he passed. Or they'll come in and kind of do a low ball. Because maybe they've been on the internet and looked on QRZ and see how much or little you have. And they show up and going to offer you a few $1,000s for everything to take it off their hands and to remove the problem. That's the last thing you want to have happen. So you have to let your loved ones or whoever's going to manage your estate to watch out for that. So it's good to designate a representative, somebody who you trust, either another ham or a close friend, of what your equipment is and how to deal with it afterwards. So the first QST article of the 2 goes into the inventory list. And Noel has a lot of pointers in here, and that's how I kind of structured what I'm going to be doing here. And what I've done is generated this 1-page sheet, and on here I have fields for the equipment and manufacturer along with the model number, the date that I purchased it, the best that I can remember, the date that I filled out this document, so people know it's 5 years old or 3 weeks old or whatever, whether or not there's a manual available and where I've stored it or filed it away. Did I promise this to anyone? If so, free, donate, fixed price, put it on here if you've made that promise. Whether or not there's a factory box and where it's located. Serial number. It's probably not important for your estate passing along your equipment, but hey, maybe if somebody broke it and stole stuff, it'd be nice to have the serial numbers documented and what you feel it's worth or what you could get for it today. And that's why the date up here of the document date is important, because it's your best estimate at the point in time that you filled this out. I have a couple areas here, 4 areas where I can take photos of the equipment, front and back, any other equipment that would go with it, a microphone or a speaker, or if it's like a rotor, rotator up on the tower and the control head, you want to make sure those two stay matched. Then some notes down here at the bottom, and some of the things I would put into there. Here, I made some other notes here. His description, whether or not it's working or not. what options are included. A lot of radios, you can buy filters or other modules that go inside. You can list those. I'm not sure if that really affects the value a lot of the times. It may on something like a K3 where you paid $700 for the second receiver. That's nice to know. What external bits go with it? Microphone, speaker, a matching power supply. I've had like a Yaesu where it comes with a special power supply for the 200 watt models. You want to make sure all that is kind of grouped together. Also, what repairs have been done to it, whether or not you did it yourself or who did it, and what basically the physical condition, scratches, dents, missing knobs, broken things, stuff like that. You can kind of make a note. So it doesn't have to be extensive. Just a few sentences in this area will probably take care of that. And when you write this, do it from the point of view that the people looking at this have no idea what this stuff is. So up in the top here, I have a little yellow circle. So what I'm going to do is number each sheet. And then I bought a row of yellow colored dots. And I will put these on the back of the equipment with a number that matches the sheet. So, and maybe the instruction manual, the factory box, you can kind of number everything together. This is a big project, and I'll get to why I'm addressing this now here as we go along. In the QST articles, they mention the guys, don't try and do this all in one day. You'll never get through it. You'll be, but you may want to start with the high value ticket items. Start with the radios, amplifiers, things that are at the high range of your value, and then work down to the smaller things over time. SWR meters, speakers, external things, keys, microphones, and such. So start at the high as you start with this process and work down. And if it's stuff that's under $100, maybe it's probably not worth documenting. The antenna is outside. This becomes a big problem for a lot of people. What I'm going to do is take some photos of what's out there, describe what's on the tower, what the antennas are, where the manuals are, what the tower is. On my tower, I'm fortunate of how to tilt it over, and it all unbolts. So basically 3 people in a couple hours can disassemble the whole thing out there. If you have a tower that you have to climb with guy wires, you may want to make some notes of who might be able to provide that service. There's some commercial tower people. You may have some real good climbers in your club. Make some notes and help out who's going to be dealing with this stuff. Whether or not you can sell the tower. Some towers get to be quite old. Their condition is unknown. Sometimes people just offer them for free. You come take it down, it's yours. Get it off the property. Go through this process as you add new equipment. When you take it out of the box, get your cell phone camera out and take some photos. And kind of some notes on photos. Try and not include a lot of other stuff in the photos that are not part of what you're describing on the sheet. You can use the crop function maybe to cut stuff out that's outside of the equipment area, or if you can set it aside and get it with a neutral background, helps. Try and get close-ups and be in focus, have them right side up. All these things will really help. And then you can print these sheets all out and stick them in a notebook, which I would have next to my documentation for my trusts and my wills and stuff. So when somebody grabs one, this will be there waiting for them. And we are radio collectors, but we also probably collect other things. So take a look at your test equipment. Some people have very extensive setups with test equipment. A lot of it may be fairly up to date. It's worth something. Other things like my 40-year-old TM500 stuff, it's not worth a lot, but maybe put it on a sheet and say, this is what it is. I paid, $75 for this. Get what you can. Or donate it to, a club or a student or something, somebody who can appreciate it and use it. So why am I doing all this now? Because I'm about ready to rip this all out of here. This has been here for 2 years, and as I unpack a piece of equipment, I set it on here. I got wires running all over the place. It's a mess. I'm going to take it all off. I'm going to get rid of my rack that's over here, because it basically ends up holding a couple pieces of equipment and then a lot of extra things I don't use, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to take this table and push it over to where the more towards the rack is. I have another matching table just off to my right here, parallel to this one. I'm going to swing it around and make a 90-degree L-shape work area like I had back in Grass Valley. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm approaching it. You may have some other ideas. You may want to think about this. If you have any comments, put them in the comment section. If you have any suggestions. I think it's best not to just ignore this issue. So I don't plan on going anywhere. I'm surviving the virus. I'm staying home. I'm recording this in mid-December, and hopefully be around for a long time. But while I got all this off, I can clean it and dust it and take some photographs and kind of organize all my equipment. So that's it. Randy, K7AGE, live long and prosper.